Record.
Excellent. All right, then welcome everyone. We'll call the meeting of the Beaverton Traffic Commission to order. It is 7:02. Today is January, or I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. February 4th. I see. I didn't look at the consent agenda notes. First off is roll. Commissioner Bobadilla.
Here, present.
Excellent. Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Vice Chair McClean.
Present.
Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Commissioner Nakamura.
Present.
And Commissioner Urbanski.
Present.
Excellent. Chair Conway is here. With that in mind, then, the next item is visitor comments. Stephanie, do we have any written or visitors in the waiting room?
We do have 3 attendees in the waiting room. If they could read the chat and let me know if they plan to testify. But as of right now, there's no comments.
Okay, we'll go on with the next item. We can always come back to that if we need to. Next up then would be staff comments. Mr. Khasho.
Mr. Chair, just for the record, we received additional written testimony for both issues, and I emailed you 3 this morning, and then we received 1 at 6:30 tonight, and I did email it to you.
Very
The
good.
other thing regarding TC issue 818, in one of the written testimonies, there was a letter from Greg Hathaway. He was the attorney representing the Taco Bell at the corner of Shoals, Ferry and Hall Boulevard. Later today, we received an email from him. And before I get to this, yesterday we had a meeting with Odot staff and him. And after that meeting, he sent an email today, and he said they are not objecting to restricting the left turns, to the driveways. So they're not pursuing an objection at this time.
Okay. Does that, one clarification, does that apply to the property owner as well, which I understand was a different person?
I believe the property owner is a different person than the Taco Bell company.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Nothing from Stephanie then. Consent agenda. The only item we have on the consent agenda is the meeting minutes of the last time this commission met, which was January 7th. Commissioner Urbanski.
There was one paragraph where the meaning of what I said was reported the exact opposite. So I sent a corrected paragraph to everybody about 4 or 5 days ago. So I just request that that paragraph be substituted to give the correct meaning of something I said. It's on page 6 in the written version of the minutes, or on page 9 in the electronic version we got sent last week.
Correct. And I did.
It's just the meaning of what I said was, it was reported the exact opposite. So.
Correct. And then Stephanie, does that get updated later on? Do we need, would there just be an insert or a pen? Do you append that with the note?
Yes, I've already updated it. Jabra just asked that we say for the record that we changed it.
Very good then. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. And with that, then I'd make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, which consists of the meeting minutes of our last meeting, January 7th.
I'll second that.
Commissioner McClean seconded. Thank you. Call then. Roll. Commissioner Bobadilla.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Ernie Nakamura.
Aye.
And Commissioner Urbanski.
Aye.
Chair Conway, aye. Motion approves 7-0. Thank you. Next up is the public hearing And I think last, to double check, there is no one making a public comment, so the visitors may or may not discuss part of. And again, if you would put in the chat for the visitors, if you would put into the chat that you intend to speak on one of the two hearings that we have so that we can get that listed out in the process. With that in mind, the opening statements apply to both TC 818 and TC 819. The hearing will now begin with a report from the city traffic engineer, followed by testimony from the person who submitted the proposal. City traffic engineer's report will list the applicable substantive criteria and the reasons behind the recommendation. We will then hear testimony from other interested parties. If you wish to testify, please clearly state your name and address when given permission to speak on the phone through video. Your evidence and testimony must be directed to the criteria in section 6.02.060, determined to be applicable by the city traffic engineer or other criteria, current city, metro, TriMet, state, or federal laws or policies which you believe apply to this decision. After the hearing is closed, the commission will deliberate on the evidence received and make an oral decision to approve with conditions, or deny the proposal. The decision will not be final until the final written order is signed by the chairperson. All persons who testify will receive a written notification of the final decision of this commission. Decisions of the commission or recommendations to city council become effective after approval by council. Typically, traffic commission recommendations appear on the consent agenda of the council and are approved by the council without discussion. City council ordinarily does not conduct a public hearing on such recommendations. Any decision of the commission may be appealed to city council. When an appeal is properly filed, a separate hearing will be scheduled before the council. Any appeal must be filed with the city recorder within 10 days of the date of the traffic commission's final written order. And the procedures related to written appeals are, are available from the office of the city traffic engineer or the city recorder. With that in mind, then, we will begin with TC 818, Churn restrictions on Southwest Hall Boulevard west of Shoals Ferry Road. And we'll begin with the staff report. Mr. Khasho.
Mr. Chair, before I start with the report, we have with us tonight Ms. Marcela Rodriguez. She's from Odot. And later, if you have any questions, she'll be answering some of your questions, if I cannot answer them too. With that, the Oregon Department of Transportation is considering the installation of a traffic separator, or it's a narrow median island on Southwest Hall Boulevard, west of Shoals Ferry Road. And this is to improve safety in that area. The traffic separator will restrict left turning movements to and from the driveways on Hall Boulevard. Currently, Hall Boulevard west of Shoals Ferry Road is a 6-lane highway, and it's under Oregon Department of Transportation jurisdiction. It is classified as an arterial street, and the posted speed limit is 40 miles per hour on it. It has sidewalks and bike lanes on both sides in that area. There are 3 driveways on the north side of the highway. One that serves the gas station, and the other 2 serves the small shopping center on the northwest corner of the intersection. There is 1 drive on the south side that serves a fast food restaurant, which is Taco Bell, and it serves the other 2 small office commercial centers. The crash history on Hall Boulevard west of Shoals Ferry Road shows that this highway segment is a high crash location and ranks high in the top 5% of ODOT's Safety Priority Index system, as compared with other similar highways within the state of Oregon. A total of 41 crashes were reported during the most recent 5 years of available crash data. And this range is between January 2014 and December 2018. Of those 41 crashes, there were 19 crashes that attributed to vehicles making a left turn or making a left in and out of those driveways. 8 of the 19 crashes were injury accidents or crashes. restricting left turns at the first two driveways on the north side of the highway and the driveway on the south side on Hall Boulevard west of Shoals Ferry Road will improve safety and significantly will reduce the number of crashes at this section of highway. ODOT has communicated with all property owners and business owners in that area. ODOT is anticipating to install the traffic separator sometime in spring 2021. And we're asking the commission tonight to approve this request. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Vice Chair McClean?
Mr. Khasho, just a couple questions. Is the cost of installation going to be done by ODOT, or is there a cost to the city of Beaverton?
It's done by ODOT.
Okay. Do we know what brought this along? Is this something that's been on ODOT's list for a while, or is it something that they did a recent study? Like I saw the notes, there's about a 5% of the SPIS. Do we know kind of like a background or history of how long this has been a safety concern?
Yeah. ODOT typically they update their SPIS system, which is SPIS. It's every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Yeah, and this time it shows in the top 5%. That intersection actually in the past, it used to rank, I believe it was number 2 on the SPIS list in the past. So sometimes it's on off, but this time, scrutinizing the crashes, it showed that there was half of, when we talk about the segment, it's almost 500 feet or so. So they were concentrated at those driveways and half of them were injuries. So that's why they're going to take action to restrict those left turns.
All right, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. One question, Mr. Khasho. I believe in the notes it said that ODOT was going to have a plan and work everything out with the property owners by the end of February. But we're holding this now. It is on page, where did it go here? On the handout, which I thought was at the end. They were going to discuss this. Yes, it's on, well, there's no page number, I guess. It's the second page of that. We'll be communicating with this change with impacted property owners and business owners in the next couple of weeks and finalize the design by the end of February. If we haven't seen the final design yet, are we able to make a informed decision?
No, the traffic commission decision is to restrict the left turns in and out of those driveways. The design, the traffic separator is an ultimate design, and I think that's what will go in. But final design for construction is different than what we call a design here with, it's a preliminary design at this time. We know we'll have a separator in that stretch and it's almost 250, 260 feet long. We don't get into the design detail at this time.
Okay.
But already, ODOT already got engaged with property owners and business owners. So they already took care of that portion of the request.
Okay, just wanted to make a clarification on that. Commissioner Urbanski?
Question for Mr. Khasho. Looking at the aerial maps that we were provided with, particularly the first map, I just need some clarification. So the traffic separator will affect driveways 1, 2, and 4 on that picture, the 1, 2, and 4 on the north side, is that correct?
On the north side, there are the first 2, yeah. And there is
the first 2 plus the Chevron garage gas station would be affected as well.
You mean 2, 4, and 3? I'd like a clarification.
Yeah. Well, on the aerial map, there's a blue 1, 2, and 4. They're on the north side. They will all be affected, is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. But the traffic reports show that there weren't any accidents at the entrance number 1 into the North Mall. So I guess I'm questioning why that median barrier will extend all the way up to the westmost entrance into that northern mall, because it will basically prevent people going into that mall if they're traveling east on Southwest Hall. In other words, if you're traveling on Southwest Hall towards Shoals Ferry Road, there's no way for you to get into that northern mall.
No, there'll be the traffic separator will cover driveway 2, 4 on the north side and driveway 3 on the south side. Number
But
1,
not-
it will, not number 1, you know, if you look at
Okay.
the first diagram, the
Yeah.
yellow line shows where the separator is going to be.
Okay, because in the diagram, it wasn't clear if that hatched area included that westmost driveway or not.
Oh, you mean the, yeah, the drawing from the city with the hash? Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it was obscuring all of those northern entrances into
No,
the
it
mall.
doesn't extend that far. Still, the
Okay,
driveway is
that-
on the north side. But if you,
So
if
people
you
will
look,
still be able to get into that mall. Okay, that's.
Yeah. if you look at the colored aerial photo from the ODOT request, that first sheet, colored sheet that shows aerial photo of the area.
Yeah.
And that's where the yellow line in the street, that's the traffic separator. And it shows driveway 2, 3, and 4 will be restricted for left turns. Driveway 1 will not.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Brown?
So this, if the way I read it, this is kind of good news, bad news. People can do left in to driveway number 1, but there's no turn refuge in the street for them to wait to be able to turn left. So if that's your intention, you're now stopped in the through travel lane and backing up traffic back over the 217 overcrossing. Which I guess the good news is, yeah, you can get in, but in the process, it looks like you're impeding the through traffic movement.
Yes, it does in a way, but at this time, it doesn't show that there is problem. People are using it, but it doesn't show it is a problem at that location. So it's working fine. The problem with the other driveways is the queues are always extended through the driveways that nobody can make a left. And the minute they find the gap in traffic, they take a chance, and that's how they get hit. You know, cars will be coming fast, and yeah. So and also we cannot restrict, because if we restrict one, then we'll have more restrictions on that shopping center. And ODOT is not trying, you know, they're trying to do the minimum and improving safety. They don't want to go to an extreme where they close every driveway there. That's the intention. And it's showing it's working fine at this time, so.
Is that all right then? Commissioner Brown?
Yeah, I don't know. Proof will be in how it works once you start to limit those other driveways. It just strikes me that, you know, may not be a problem today because people have 2 other opportunities to get into that shopping center. But once you close those off, the only way you're going to have to be able to make a right in off a hall is going to be that one driveway that will back up traffic into the through movement, which doesn't seem all that desirable. So, you know, I think kind of one of those things, if you do it and build it, you're gonna have to wait and see how it pans out. It could be that we're creating a new problem that we didn't have, but hard to tell, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure ODOT will be monitoring, you know, how it's gonna pan out in a few years. It takes time, you know, to get crash data. So I'm sure they'll evaluate the before and after it gets installed. And also, I want to bring something up, like the westbound traffic on Hall Boulevard. If they're coming from the east side, east of Shoals Ferry, and they make a left into the driveway to the Taco Bell, now what they have to do is they'll make a left at the signal, and then there is a driveway for Taco Bell and the shopping center on Shoals Ferry that they can come in. So it's, you know, here it's really restrictive, but it's not. There is still another way to get to the fast food restaurant and the other two shopping centers.
Thank you, Mr. Khasho. One follow-up question to that, and this may be a police question too. The distance to make that churn, if you're making a left, can you actually churn into the farthest lane, or do we have any info on as many people as queue up on Hall westbound? Are we expecting more traffic or the same, or can you churn? If you turn into the closest lane on Shoals Ferry, you're actually going to churn wide all the way across. Does the signal the right churn eastbound? Does that light freeze so that people making a left churn will be swinging wide?
Yeah, when the westbound left turn is on, the eastbound right turn, it will show a red arrow. It's got an overlap on it, and it will show a red arrow. So right turns going east on Hall Boulevard will be red, while that left turn westbound left actually is going on.
Does that remain right now? Though it's a dedicated arrow that's red. Will that move to like no turn on red, or is there a concern about that? Has that been discussed?
No, red arrow means you have to stop before you make a right turn. And if you see that traffic coming from the east side of Hall Boulevard making a left into Shoals Ferry, you know, basically you cannot make that right. You have to stop.
Okay, I guess my safety concern is that legally you should turn into the lane closest to you. So the person making a right turn from Hall onto Shoals should be able to expect that they're going to be able to turn into that lane because the other lane has got the right turn. So I'm just wondering if that had been brought up. Was that a concern? Did anybody consider that?
No, it's not a concern because it's little tight there when you turn. And sometimes driver, yeah, they turn to the furthest lane that the closest lane. And we have to look at the crash history, you know, to see if there is a problem there or not. But since this intersection was studied, I don't think if it showed any problems, it would have showed up with the crash history that they did. And I don't have it, so I'm just, you know, from their review, I believe if there was a problem, they would have mentioned it or talked about it.
All right, thank you. Stephanie, I'm sorry, Commissioner Urbanski? Or I'm sorry, Commissioner Brown? I think my light's a little too bright.
One of the people that wrote in asked whether or not a U-turn was possible on northbound Shoals at the Hall intersection so that a person could loop back around and get into the Taco Bell site is that legal?
U-turns are not legal at signalized intersection. That's a state statute, state law. And to be able to make a U-turn, you know, you need the space. And just only 2 lanes on the one side, you will not be able to make that U-turn. So I doubt that this option will be available.
Could you state that again? You're saying that that's not allowed anywhere? Because I know that there are some right turns in that don't have that just have a 2-lane. I believe you can do a U-turn into Fred Meyer from Canyon.
It's signed that you can make a U-turn there. It says
Correct.
U-turn, it says U-turn permitted except trucks.
Correct. So is that would not be allowed here though? I'm sorry, I didn't understand the first part of your statement, sir.
In general, U-turn are not permitted at signalized intersections unless it's signed that you can make that U-turn.
Correct. Is that an option here then, I believe, if I understood?
I don't think it's an option because of the width of the roadway. You know, it's got 2 lanes and the 2 lanes are narrow and a bike lane. So try to make a U-turn, you know, just make one try to make it, you will not be able to make it. You'll hit the curb.
Very good. Sergeant, sir?
Yeah, just two things. That U-turn right there, I've had to do it a number of times, and I can't even do it very well in my patrol car. So it'd be tough for traffic to make that U-turn right there. And second, Jabra, is in reading the 217 construction work that's going to happen, I thought that they were going to do some work on the overpass of Hall in 217. Are they going to integrate these 2 things like together? Are they going to add a lane, maybe a left turn lane there? Did they give any thought of working these 2 things together?
No, the 217 project and the whole boulevard is part of that project. It's just to widen the bridge to add bike lanes on it.
Okay.
And the sidewalks. Yeah, they're not going past that portion of the highway where it's narrow. No, there is nothing to add additional lanes through there.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions right now? Stephanie, just to make sure and confirm, there is no visitor comment, public comment for this, correct?
They didn't write in the chat and ask me. I believe the 2 attendees are from Taco Bell, so they might be okay.
All right, very good. I wanted to make sure because we'll officially close the public hearing portion then, if that is the case. I just want to double check that. Make sure. With that in mind, then we will close that. Are there final staff comments or any other questions? Seeing none, then we would consider a motion to approve as written, approve with changes, or deny the motion, unless there is final questions or discussion. Right. Vice Chair McClean.
I'll just make a comment that I'm in favor of this. I understand, you know, obviously there is a crash history of this intersection, and making a left-hand turn, you know, when there is traffic is not going to be an easy thing to do. I like that it's only partial median to prevent the left-hand turn, not all the way, so that driveway option 1 is still there. So I would be in favor of this as written.
All right, very good. Yeah, it's difficult to have only, I guess it'll be interesting to see the amount of traffic then that egresses out onto Shoals from the north parking lot now, because really everybody is restricted to a right turn. Pretty much everywhere, in and out of everything. But yeah, there was a lot of crash history on this to go with it. So I appreciate, Mr. Khasho, all your work on that as well. All right, seeing that then, in light of the safety concerns, and again, I think that we have seen this board or this commission come back if there are issues that aren't working. This is not a final solution. I know that it is a cost involved to work with that, but at the same time, we're definitely open, as we have done before, made all updates and changes and modifications to the plan. So if we do need something, perhaps there's another option we can do for the ingress and egress of all the businesses concerned as well. With that in mind, I'd make a motion. I'm sorry, that switched on me. Commissioner Bobadilla, you're on mute.
Thank you.
No worries.
Was anything else considered as another option, just regarding about the blockage of like the traffic having to be going to that way? Just curious, was this the only option?
Yeah, I mean, what do you do to restrict left turns? You know, it's the most effective, reasonable price option. You know, I mean, I'm not aware of
Yeah,
any other way to restrict the left turns and have compliance with the restriction. You know,
I think it's good, and it's important for the public also to know that. I mean, of why. Just that. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to let the commissioners know that we did send a notice of this hearing to every business on both sides of the street. Although ODOT did their part, you know, talking to the businesses and the owners, but the city also did that, you know, we sent a notice of this hearing.
Excellent, thank you. One follow-up to Commissioner Bobadilla's comment, and I think we've had discussions like this similar, and that is, if, not sure how to phrase the question, if someone had recommended or a business had suggested an ingress egress light on the far edge of the property, and I'm not concerned, I guess across from where the existing one is on the northbound, the number one, where the number one is on the map. Had someone suggested a light, would that have been something that would have been considered? Is there some rule, law, or regulation that would prohibit that?
Typically signalized intersections on arterials, you know, are spaced minimum like 1,000 feet or so. And in this area, it's only almost 300 feet. So that will not be an option, because the queues from the Shoals Ferry to the west, they'll block that signal. I mean, sometimes the queue gets all the way to Cascade Avenue or the on-ramp of the highway on-off.
Okay, I was curious, I think it was, it's always good just to run through what the options were, why they are or weren't, maybe they were or were not considered. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. Also,
Sure.
there is a great difference between the highway and the parking lot for those businesses. It sits up high. So it's, even if you try to have a standard driveway there, it's going to be tricky.
Okay, very good. With that in mind, for the safety record, I make a motion to approve as written TC 818 southbound left turn restrictions on Southwest Hall Boulevard west of Shoals Ferry Road. Is there a second or an alternate motion?
Second.
Commissioner Bobadilla?
Second.
Sorry?
I thought you were asking for a second.
There's a second or an alternate motion, yes.
Second, no motion.
Okay, very good. So motion made by Chair Conway, second by Commissioner Bobadilla. Final discussion? All right, seeing none then, roll. Commissioner Bobadilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura,
Aye.
Commissioner Urbanski,
Aye.
and Chair Conway, aye. Motion passes then 7-0. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate time and help on that. And also, Ms. Rodriguez, for your attendance. Thank you. Next up, we have TC 819, Crosswalk and Pedestrian Beacon on Southwest Hall at Sabin. The opening chair comments still apply. And with that, then we begin with staff report by Mr. Khasho.
This crosswalk and beacon on Hall Boulevard is requested by staff. And the Allen Boulevard District Plan identified an implementation action plan that called for the enhancement of pedestrian crossing on Hall Boulevard and on Allen Boulevard. Hall Boulevard at Sabin Street was one of the identified pedestrian crossing improvements in the action plan and was included in the city's 2021 capital improvement plan. So funding for this crossing is already in the capital improvement plan. Hall Boulevard south of Allen is classified as a 5-lane arterial. It has 2 through lanes and a center turn lane with a posted speed limit of 40 miles per hour. It has bike lanes and sidewalks on both sides. Currently, there is a median island on Hall Boulevard at Sabin Street. The median island provides a refuge area for pedestrians and allow pedestrians to cross the street at 2 stages. A traffic count taken in August of 2018 and also one in August of 2020. The 2018, it showed Hall Boulevard carries approximately 7,750 vehicles per day. The August 2020 traffic count showed that there is only 12,300 vehicles per day. And the lower traffic volume in 2020 is due to the pandemic and people are driving less. National research and guidelines published by the Federal Highway Administration does not recommend marking a crosswalk at uncontrolled location, intersection or mid-block without having a stop sign or a signal on roadways that have 4 lanes or more and carries greater than 15,000 vehicles per day. They allow or they recommend installing crosswalks if you have additional safety improvement at the location, such as median islands, beacons, or a traffic signal where it's warranted. The manual on uniform traffic control devices gave interim approval to allow the use of rectangular rapid flashing beacons as a warning beacon to supplement standard pedestrian crossing signs and markings, where crosswalks approaches are not controlled by stop or yield control or a traffic signal. Research on these beacons have shown that the compliance for yielding to pedestrian is very high. It's in the high 80s, almost 100%, the compliance rate. If you compare it with a standard flashing beacon, circular beacons, the compliance rate is between 15 to 20%. And it also shows that the yielding rates are sustained even after 2 years in operation. So staff is proposing to install a marked crosswalk and a rectangular rapid flashing beacon to supplement the existing island on Hall Boulevard at 7th Street. The cost to install this beacon is approximately $30,000, and it is identified in the capital improvement plan as project number 5206. So we're asking the commission tonight to approve this request.
Thank you, sir. One question, I believe that was part of the add-on as well, and that was the not selecting 22nd and the crossing there. And is that because that's an intersection, you wouldn't put a, I guess, what's the consideration for not putting it at 22nd where the bus stop currently is?
Yeah, this bus stop, it keeps, the TriMet keeps changing the location. And the reason why it's at Sabin, it's the amount of the pedestrians who cross the street. And this island was put in because there was a high number of pedestrians coming from the east side of Hall Boulevard. There is a couple of developments there, Habitat for Humanities, and there is also a large number of multi-family units in that area. A lot of people who live in that area, they use transit, and that's why that island was put there. And when the Allen Boulevard district plan was in process, and basically the public involvement, most of the people who attended those meetings are people who live in that area or on Allen Boulevard. And that's where the recommendation was. I know there's people they come from the 22nd and they live to the east of, or to the west of Hall Boulevard on 22nd on those residential areas. But there is a larger number by Sabin than 22nd.
Is there a way to move the stop sign or the bus stops closer to the crossing, similar to how it is on Barber, where the crossing is now?
I'm sure after the beacon installation, TriMet probably would consider this. Yeah.
Okay,
Because-
very good.
Because the flashing beacon actually will encourage people to cross there at that location.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Urbanski?
I had exactly the same question. Wouldn't it be easy just to move the bus stop? I'm looking at the image right now. It's just one post. You could just move it, 50 feet up north.
Well, but I think my concern was that the other one, northbound, is back on the other side. It's a little farther away because they don't always put them next to across from each other. So I think it would help if they could. Vice Chair McClean?
A couple questions for Mr. Khasho, but first, as a former TriMet employee, it's not always easy to move bus stops for timing purposes, but I'm sure that's a request that can be made. And I'm sure if it came from the city of Beaverton, it'd probably carry more weight with TriMet. But a couple questions for Mr. Khasho. Just to clarify the rapid flashing beacon, that does not change red. That just will only flash yellow. Is that correct?
Yes.
And can you describe the difference? Because I know farther south on Hall at the Fano Creek, there is a different type of crosswalk. Is that because there's no median where there's a median near Sabin Street, or is there also a cost-effective reason not using a different type of beacon?
It was because if we install the median, then it will restrict that queue making a left to Greenway.
Okay.
So the other option was a hybrid pedestrian beacon. And the hybrid pedestrian beacon, actually, it costs 3 times what a rectangular rapid flashing beacon is.
Just so I'm understanding correctly, because Hall Boulevard at Sabin already has that median, the rapid flashing beacon is a better solution. Also, it's a lower cost solution.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Also, the traffic volume in this near Sabin is much lower than the east end of Hall Boulevard by Greenway.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Other questions?
Sergeant Shaw has his hand up.
Oh, thank you. Sergeant Shaw?
I think something to remember is right here where Sabin comes out onto Hall there. it's a corner you can't really see around very well. It is not a straightaway, so having a beacon there for pedestrians, I think, is a huge benefit, like it was down at 141st in Allen. We had several traffic crashes with pedestrians, including, I think, a fatality down there on 141st in Allen before the traffic beacon went in. And then after the traffic beacon went in, we've had, it's been rare to have any sort of issues at that intersection. So I'm really looking forward to this thing going in and hopefully it passing tonight.
Very good. Thank you. Excellent point. And then just to be, for the record, Stephanie, there were no visitors who wanted to comment.
We do have one attendee. It's the lady who sent the email we got this evening, but she did not ask to testify in the chat.
Oh, okay. Very good. Right. Back to. Right. There was that one, and then this one. And then...
Stephanie, it looks like she did add a comment that she does want to.
She just must have raised her hand.
All right, very good.
She would like to testify, so I'm going to allow her to speak at this time.
Excellent.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Annie Passbreg, and I am a resident of the Highland neighborhood. I live at 6650 Southwest Whisper Court, so probably about 3 blocks from where this crosswalk is being proposed. And I am also a board member of the Highland NAC. And so this is the first time I've attended a traffic commission meeting. And I just would like to point out that the information that we got sent didn't have this Zoom meeting. So there was no way. I had to email Miles and get the Zoom link because I couldn't figure out any way to be able to try to get public comment. So just so that you're aware that this was not actually as accessible to the public as other city meetings are. But my kind of comment and my concern about this is that where this is being proposed to be put in, it is a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. And oftentimes people are pushing that speed limit. You can, especially at night, especially when it's dark, from 4 blocks away, you can hear the cars racing down. And then also with the new public safety center being put in and hearing the cop cars speeding, when they're responding to calls, I just get nervous about how fast traffic is with pedestrians crossing. And so I guess my question is, as you're looking at this proposal, if there is also any longer term plans of trying to also do some traffic calming or some traffic slowing so that it's safer for pedestrians to cross.
Excellent, thank you. So are you in favor, or we need to make sure we stay?
So I am in favor of it, but I also with the caveat that this would be a beginning step and that this wouldn't be the end all piece.
All right, and you do or do not represent the NAC?
I do not represent the NAC.
Okay, so one of the things that we would suggest, Annie, that we do, and that Sherry and I are both NAC board members as well for our NAC, and that would be that you consider what suggestions and recommendations you have, and that the NAC write up a solution and suggestion list and make some suggestions to the city.
Perfect.
That's
I will
an excellent way to continue that.
Bring that to our next NAC meeting.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
No,
Mr. Khasho.
that's it.
Mr. Khasho?
I have a question for Ms. Passbreg. Did you receive the agenda for the traffic commission?
I'm sorry, did I receive the what for the traffic commission?
The agenda for the traffic commission.
No, I did not.
Because we send it to the NAC and it should have the link. for
The
this
link.
meeting.
Okay, no, the only thing I received was the public hearing notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the notice has the address for the website where you could find the link to it.
Okay, it wasn't clearly put on the website, so I didn't realize that there was if I went to the agenda, I could find the link.
Okay.
That
thank
is
you.
helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the time and effort to comment as well. Anything else? Stephanie, were there any other, that was the only comment, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. With that in mind, then we would officially close the public hearing portion and move to final discussion. Any other questions for Mr. Khasho? Staff reports, feedback? Very good then. I would entertain, well, I will make a motion to approve as written TC 819 for Crosswalk and Pedestrian Beacon at Southwest Hall Boulevard and Sabin. Is there a Commissioner Nakamura?
Yes, I'll second.
Excellent. Thank you. Final discussion?
Yes, I would like to comment, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Moore?
Thank you. Having gone to look at the area, it's not really far from where I live. I note that just as the officer pointed out, this is needed in order for us to have additional safety in the area. Again, I didn't hear anyone objecting to this particular one, but just wanted to note that I believe that adding just that beacon is going to be enough to slow down traffic significantly just by having the beacon. I'd love to have had the one that's more like on Faneuil Trail, but that's not feasible or practical as far as the funding is allowing, but just having that yellow beacon is enough to slow down the traffic so that it was safer there, in my humble opinion. And I'm definitely in favor of our pursuing this new procedure at that location.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it'll help. I believe that I was trying to find out how fast, anybody know how fast it is, the one on, I think the best example where this has been a success is Barber, just outside of past Hamilton, south of Hamilton, where that is a beacon, same way that is an RRFB. It is not a stop. And that has excellent adherence, and just, I think it's a real comfort. And I was trying to figure out, because the speed in there was 30, and I believe by the time you exit that area in there, it's, I want to say it's 40 as well, but it might be 35. But it's been very successful, and I think the same would apply here. So definitely a great thing. Any other discussion, comments? All right then, roll. Commissioner Bobadilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura,
Aye.
and Commissioner Urbanski.
Aye.
Excellent. Chair Conway, aye. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you everyone for your time. And Annie, appreciate you speaking and coming to our meeting, and we would encourage NACs in general to attend Planning Commission, Traffic, City Council. Great way to kind of find out more, because we don't, I think as Sherry and I know, we don't always get everything even going on in our own NAC. So that's a bit of a discussion point sometimes. Next up then, old business, Mr. Khasho, anything? I see there were no changes since our last meeting.
At the last meeting, we said we're gonna have I suggested having a workshop for the traffic calming, and it's not on the agenda tonight. And the reason why is we were anticipating the hearing for TC 818 to take a long time, because there was too many objection for that left turn, so we did not schedule it. So we're hoping the next meeting we will schedule that. And if you would like, we could have, like in March, we'll just have one workshop for the whole just for traffic calming. We won't have anything on the agenda because we don't have anything to bring to the commission at this time. So we could make it a workshop if you would like to do that.
All right. Is that something that we can consider, we need to consider now, or can we consider that later on?
I need just 10 days in advance because we don't need to advertise, you know, it will just be an agenda. It doesn't need to be advertised in the paper. So if you tell me 10 days, I could ask you 10 days in advance of the March meeting if you would like to have the workshop in March.
Thoughts right now, though? Anybody?
I'm fine. I'm available if people want to have a meeting. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it might be easier to break that out. Instead, I know that if we get something that goes long in April, then we would be faced kind of with the same thing we had here. So, yeah, I believe, Mr. Khasho, unless somebody or we hear otherwise later on, I think we should tentatively plan on that unless something comes up that precludes meeting then next month.
Okay, so
All right.
we'll plan on having a workshop in March.
Yes, and that'll give everyone some time to look it over and give some thoughts and considerations as well.
Okay,
I think the workshop also helps since we have some newer members on the commission. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And also we will know what happened with the Bonnie Bray and Barlow traffic calming projects. I want to give you an update of what we've been doing. We sent out the response card and the plan and everything, but there wasn't much coming back. You know, I mean, people did not even say no or abstain. We were not getting the cards back. So what we did, we looked at who did not send their card back and we targeted them again and we sent another packet for them. From that second batch, we got some back, but we haven't got the number that we need. So we're gonna do it again, target those who did not send the card to see where we get. And hopefully, hopefully they will make it, you know. To be honest with you, I don't know what else to do. And it's been going for a long time. It's not just, you know, a week or two. I mean, it's been going over 2 months now. We're trying to do this.
Right. And I think it's a good example of the work that's gone in. I think the commission has seen that before, that a lot of work goes into that and then nothing comes out, and that's disappointing. I also think it's a good example for people like Ms. Pashkin, who are trying to figure out how they can get, you know, what this is only the beginning. Well, it's only the beginning if you get enough involvement by everybody too, because if people just don't get involved, then there was a lot of work for naught. I think how many have come before this commission and how many have actually been successful, or 2, maybe 3 in the years, many years that we've done this. All right, thank you. Any other old business? I guess that was part of new as well.
One thing I wanted to share, Chairman Conway, not if everybody knows this already, I just learned this last month. At the Beaverton Oregon.gov webpage, at the bottom, there's a notify me button that you can sign up for notifications on different projects. So like one of those, I believe, was the Allen Boulevard district plan and some other ones, the downtown loop. So I didn't know there was a notify me option. So I learned that. And I just wanted to share it with the fellow commissioners.
It's on the Odot page?
It's the Beaverton, our page here, I'm sorry, Beaverton.
Oh, BeavertonOregon.gov.
BeavertonOregon.gov. At the bottom center, there is a notify me button that you can click on to sign up for notifications.
Excellent, thank you. One thing for new business, I guess, or something to consider. I saw Sergeant Shaw's comment about is there going to be consideration on the east side of Shoals with a right turn or a left turn out of yeah, left turn out of the parking lot there, which has several businesses in it. Is that going to be considered later on? I didn't really hear any comment. I mean, I'm not saying they need to bring it up right away, but is that something that gets considered based on the recommendation in the police report, or does that just kind of need to be brought up again later on?
Mr. Chair, you mean the comment from Sergeant Shaw?
Yeah,
regarding-
in the write-up at the very end, he said he concurred with this and he was pleased to see this. And then he also said a question or recommendation or basically a question about, is this ever going to happen on the east side, given the accident rate and the number of times that they've been called for a left turn out of the tap house. There's a phone thing, a restaurant, the kitchen supply, and the lamp lighting business.
Yeah, this is up to ODOT if they want to restrict those driveways or not. But
Okay.
we could ask them to take a look at it and to see if, if the crash history warrants closing them or restricting left turn movements on it.
All right.
Mr.
I think
Khasho,
it was,
I was going to ask, is part of that Shoals Ferry and Tigard, or I forget where the border is, but is that in Beaverton or is that actually in Tigard, that part of Shoals Ferry?
The lamp plus that shopping center, it's in Beaverton.
Okay.
Yeah, and the coffee shop, it's, one side is Tigard.
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's
Yeah, I think-
complicated in that area.
Yeah. It's,
right.
yeah.
I think it was more a process procedural, is that automatically get brought up because Sergeant Shaw brought it up, or does somebody need to follow up, or how did that work? So I appreciate that. Thanks for the info. Any other items? Are there any new business? All right, and then Vice Chair McClean, the subcommittee presentations you're doing, that doesn't start until next month. Is that right? Have you guys had any meetings at all?
I haven't received an invite. That's how I learned to get to notify me. So I don't have any update yet on that.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Just curious if they'd actually done anything. All right, then with that in mind, we will be planning to meet then in March for a recap. Last time you sent the updated traffic calming process out. Can you do that again, Mr. Khasho? Make sure everybody has an online copy of it. We can kind of go through it and questions and concerns that everybody has. I think if you do have some ahead of time, it might be helpful to bring those up and send those in so that we can get, even if we don't answer them online through email, we can get a list of them for Mr. Khasho to bring up as we go and begin that with probably a good way to begin the presentation.
Yeah, I will send them with the agenda. So it's like a normal packet.
Very good. All right, then, with that in mind, no other comments, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, you too. Stephanie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And
Yeah.
Sergeants, thank you both.